There's a moment that says everything. The camera cuts to Nikola Jokic, and for once, the most composed superstar in basketball doesn't look calm. He looks furious, not frustrated, not annoyed, furious. And if you followed the league closely, you already know why. The same presence that had Morant limping to the locker room in last year's playoffs. The same defender who had rookies jawing back instead of backing down. The same reason opposing stars constantly glance at officials with disbelief written all over their faces. One name keeps resurfacing in these moments: Lu Dort. Now let's be clear. The NBA has always had that guy, the agitator, the enforcer, the villain. Fans have pointed fingers at Draymond Green, at Josh Dillon Brooks, even at Grayson Allen over the years. But what makes this situation different isn't just physicality, it's the pattern. Physical defense is part of championship basketball. Hand checks, body bumps, hard contests, that's playoff intensity. But when closeouts turn into leg swings, when boxouts turn into undercuts, when defensive slides somehow end with knees colliding into the back of airborne players, the conversation changes. Because here's the uncomfortable question. At what point does playing hard cross into something else? Watch the clips carefully. Slow them down. You'll see a defender who doesn't just crowd space, he invades landing areas. A player who doesn't just fight through screens, he extends legs. Contact that repeatedly targets balance points, knees, ankles, lower body. These aren't random collisions in transition. They're controlled movements from one of the most coordinated athletes on the planet. And that's why fans are no longer dismissing it as accidental. This isn't about one highlight, or one ejection, or one heated reaction from Jokic. It's about accumulation. Because when multiple stars, from MVP candidates to rising rookies, walk away shaking their heads after the same kind of contact, people start connecting dots. Is this elite perimeter defense? Or is the league quietly allowing something that's going to cost someone more than just a possession? That's the real debate, and it's getting louder. Physical defender, that's the label supporters use for Lu Dort. And to be fair, physical defense is part of playoff basketball. The game slows down. Space disappears. Every cut is contested. Every screen hurts. But there's a difference between physical and targeted. Go back to that Dallas series. Watch the possessions involving Luka Doncic. It wasn't just chest-to-chest pressure. It wasn't just fighting over screens. It was constant lower body contact. Bumps into injured areas, legs sliding into landing space, collisions that didn't look random when slowed down. And it didn't stop with Luka. There's a possession against Kyrie Irving that perfectly captures the debate. Kyrie isn't even in a dominant scoring position. The play isn't deciding the game. Yet Dort lunges, knee forward, body extended in a way that feels excessive for the moment. That's what separates normal hard defense from something people start questioning. Because what's the upside there? You're not blocking the shot. You're not forcing a turnover. You're not gaining possession. The only possible outcome is disruption through discomfort, or worse. Then there's the screen navigation. If a guard beats you around a pick, the battle usually shifts to recovery. But multiple clips show a different tactic: grabbing, hooking, and yes, contact in areas that have nothing to do with basketball positioning. During that same Mavericks stretch, both Dallas centers found themselves reacting to plays that had nothing to do with post positioning or verticality. You can debate intent. You can argue coincidence once, maybe twice. But when similar incidents happen to multiple players on the same roster, in the same series, it stops feeling accidental. And here's where it gets interesting. Watch the shooting follow-through moments. There's one finals possession where Dort releases a jumper, and the leg kicks unnaturally high, outward, into a defender's space. When we've seen similar actions from players like Draymond Green, the league conversation explodes. Slow motion replays dominate sports media for days. With Dort, it's often framed as hustle, as intensity, as an unfortunate byproduct of aggressive play. Even head coach Mark Daigneault has described certain collisions as natural basketball movements. But here's the problem. Patterns override explanations. When knees consistently collide with landing zones, when legs extend into airborne players, when transition sprints end with trips that halt momentum, fans stop asking if it's accidental. They start asking why it keeps happening. No one is denying Dort's defensive value. He's strong, he's disciplined, he guards elite scorers nightly. That role alone guarantees physical battles. The real question isn't whether he plays hard, it's whether he's playing a calculated edge, one that toes the line so precisely that officials struggle to label it flagrant in real time. Because if this truly is just natural motion, then why does the same motion repeatedly produce the same controversy? At some point, the league has to decide, is this elite defensive aggression? Or is it a pattern that deserves stricter accountability? And until that line is clearly drawn, the debate around Lu Dort isn't going anywhere. At some point, coincidence stops feeling like coincidence, because we've all heard the explanation before. Legs tangle, bodies collide, closeouts get messy. Basketball is fast, basketball is physical. But when the same type of contact keeps happening, when legs extend backward as a star sprints up the floor, when elbows somehow find faces in off-ball traffic, when knees repeatedly collide with landing areas, people begin to question whether this is randomness or risk calculation. And that's where the debate around Lu Dort truly lives. There was a time when many gave him the benefit of the doubt. Undrafted, undersized for certain matchups, fighting for a roster spot. That edge, that desperation, that willingness to dive on hardwood and absorb contact, that's admirable. That's how players carve out NBA careers. Physicality is necessary in this league. Even legends have said it. On Inside the NBA, Shaquille O'Neal has talked about touching guys up, reminding them it's not a non-contact sport. And Charles Barkley once put it best, everybody gets hit. That's basketball. But here's the key part of what Barkley said. When you're already hurt and something extra happens, your antennas go up. That's the line. Because there is physical defense, chest pressure, strong hands, battling over screens. And then there's everything else. What makes reactions from players like Nikola Jokic stand out isn't that they've never been hit before. Jokic gets battered every night. He wrestles in the post. He absorbs elbows, forearms, body checks. He's one of the most hacked superstars in the league. So when someone like that visibly reacts, not to pain, but to intent, that says something. It suggests awareness. It suggests reputation. And reputation in the NBA doesn't form overnight. Multiple stars this season alone have exchanged words with Dort. Not minor complaints, genuine frustration. That doesn't happen if players believe it's just hard-nosed defense. It happens when they feel there's something extra layered into the contact. Now let's separate emotion from evaluation. Defensively, Dort is valuable. He guards elite scorers nightly. He's strong laterally. He absorbs contact better than most perimeter defenders. That's real. That matters. But offensively, the production doesn't always justify the leash. Shooting percentages hovering around the high 30s from the field and mid 30s from three make him streaky at best. He's not a primary playmaker. He's not someone bending defensive schemes. So when a player's primary impact is physical disruption, and that disruption constantly toes the edge of legality, scrutiny intensifies. And here's what makes it complicated. Some of what Dort does is subtle. A hip shift here, a leg extension there, a delayed bump after a release. It's not always obvious in real time. Officials are judging speed of play collisions in fractions of seconds. That gray area is where calculated defenders thrive. We've seen similar conversations before around Draymond Green and others who mastered the art of playing right up to the whistle. The difference now? Volume. When fans can compile minutes of similar lower body collisions, when social media edits circulate showing the same patterns against different opponents, perception hardens. And once perception hardens, every new incident confirms bias. That's where we are now. This isn't about one elbow. It isn't about one trip. It isn't about one controversial closeout. It's about accumulation. Is Lu Dort a reckless defender? Is he exploiting gray areas better than anyone else? Or is he being judged harsher because of viral clips and narrative momentum? Those are fair questions. But here's what's undeniable. Multiple stars have reacted strongly. Multiple fan bases feel the same frustration, and the conversation isn't fading, it's growing. If this truly is just elite physical defense, then the league needs clearer standards on landing space, leg extension, and off-ball contact. Because right now, the line feels subjective. And when the line feels subjective, players start policing it themselves. That's when games escalate. No one wants that. Because in a league built around generational talent, around MVP races, playoff rivalries, and superstar longevity, The last thing the NBA can afford is avoidable injuries stemming from preventable patterns. So whether you see Lou Dort as misunderstood, calculated, or crossing boundaries, one thing is certain: this debate isn't going away. And until the line between physicality and recklessness is clearly enforced, every hard collision involving him will be replayed, slowed down, and questioned. Not because fans hate defense, but because they fear what happens when intensity goes unchecked.